It starts without warning, a deafening crash that shatters the stillness of the night. Between 11:55 p.m. and 12 a.m., something inexplicable occurs in my condo. Every single night. I'm not talking about a faint creak or a soft murmur, I'm talking about an ear-splitting crash that sends my heart racing like a jackrabbit. And the most unsettling part? I have no idea what's causing it. As I tuck my kids into bed, refill the dog's water bowl, and bid my wife goodnight, I'm convinced that I'm finally getting some well-deserved time for myself. I retreat to my cozy sanctuary, ready to indulge in my beloved fantasy novels. But little do I know, the night has other plans. My daughter, with her unique spirit and special needs, has taken it upon herself to create a calendar. And not just any calendar, one that she's meticulously crafted, using duct tape to hold it in place. I beam with pride as I watch her work, but my admiration is short-lived. You see, this calendar has a mind of its own. Every night, without fail, it falls off the wall, leaving me bewildered and increasingly frustrated. Determined to put an end to this bizarre ritual, I decide to take matters into my own hands. I hammer a sturdy nail into the wall, securing the calendar in place. But as the clock strikes 11:55 p.m., the unthinkable happens. The calendar falls, and my heart skips a beat. I inspect the scene, only to find that the paper has ripped through the nail, leaving me aghast. I'm at my wit's end. I try again, this time using both duct tape and a nail to keep the calendar in place. Miraculously, it works, for one night, at least. But as I breathe a sigh of relief, a new and equally inexplicable phenomenon occurs. A drawing on the fridge, created by my child, falls off, shattering the calm of the night. The events that follow are nothing short of surreal. The calendar falls, and the drawings on the fridge stop. I'm trapped in a never-ending cycle of terror and confusion. I've assumed the universe is playing a cruel joke on me, and I'm powerless to stop it. And then, the unthinkable happens. I enlist my wife's help, asking her to witness the phenomenon while I'm at work. But when I return, I'm met with a revelation that shakes me to my core: nothing falls when I'm not around. The universe, it seems, is watching me, waiting for me to make my next move. As I write these words, the calendar has fallen once again, a mere 13 minutes ago. I'm paralyzed with fear, refusing to intervene or tempt fate any further. The glitch in the matrix has become my reality, a constant reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved.
I'll never forget the chill that ran down my spine as I reached for the lone pair of socks buried beneath the mess of my cluttered room. It was a typical cleaning day, but nothing could have prepared me for what was about to unfold. As my fingers wrapped around the soft fabric, a sense of trepidation crept over me. Why? Because I was about to stumble upon a mystery that would shatter my perception of reality. The pair of socks I picked up read, "Sunday," in bold, orange lettering. I stared at them, my mind racing with a single, haunting question: how did I not remember owning two pairs of these identical socks? I distinctly recalled receiving this very pair as a gift from a distant relative, and I was certain I had never purchased another pair just like it. But, as I stood there, frozen in confusion, I felt an eerie sensation. It was as if the world around me had come to a standstill, and all that existed was the pair of socks in my hand and the ones on my feet. I slowly bent down to examine my feet, my heart pounding in my chest. And that's when I saw it. I was already wearing the exact same pair of Sunday socks. The same vibrant orange lettering, the same soft texture, the same everything. Panic set in as I frantically searched my memory for any recollection of buying another pair. But my mind drew a blank. It was as if these socks had appeared out of thin air, taunting me with their duplicate existence. I felt like I was trapped in some kind of bizarre, parallel universe where the laws of reality no longer applied. The more I thought about it, the more my mind reeled with questions. Had I somehow blacked out and bought another pair without remembering? Was I losing my grip on reality? Or was something more sinister at play? As I stood there, the Sunday socks on my feet seemed to mock me, their orange lettering burning with an otherworldly intensity. I knew I had to get to the bottom of this mystery, no matter how strange or inexplicable it seemed. Little did I know, this was only the beginning of a journey that would challenge everything I thought I knew about myself and the world around me.
I'm still shaken as I recount the eerie events that unfolded last Friday, a day that will be forever etched in my memory. It was as if the universe had conspired against me, leaving me with more questions than answers. As I sit here, my heart racing with every keystroke, I'll try to piece together the inexplicable occurrences that continue to haunt me. It started innocently enough. I had parked my car in a quaint village, Espeley-Saint-Marcel, just a 10-minute walk from the charming city of Le Puy-en-Velay, where I was attending an event. What I didn't notice at the time was the ominous date, Friday the 13th. I'm not superstitious, but as the events unfolded, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. As I returned to my car, a sense of unease settled in. At first, I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but then it hit me. My driver's seat was higher than I had left it. Now, I'm a tall guy, and I always adjust my seat to its lowest position. It's a habit I've developed over the years, and I'm meticulous about it. But on this particular day, something was different. The seat was not at its highest position, just higher. The backrest and the position of the seat were the same, but the height had been altered. I was perplexed. My mind racing, I checked the rest of the car. Everything was in its place, the glove box, the trunk, nothing was amiss. The car was locked, just as I had left it. The rearview mirrors were folded in, a clear indication that the car had not been moved. I've had the car for 3 years, purchasing it second-hand from a dealership in Vienne, over 2 hours away. I was certain I didn't have any spare keys. The dealership had informed me that the previous owner had lost them. As I stood there, frozen in confusion, a chill ran down my spine. Who could have done this? And why? The only plausible explanation was that the previous owner or the dealership still had a set of spare keys. But why would they drive 2 hours just to adjust my seat? It defied logic. I'm not one to believe in paranormal activity, but as I stood there, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something inexplicable had occurred. I'm still searching for answers, but the truth remains elusive. I'm left with more questions than explanations. What do you think? Can anyone shed some light on this bizarre encounter?
It was a chilly autumn night in Long Island, New York. Around 11 p.m. I was driving home from a store in the Oceanside area, the dim streetlights casting an eerie glow on the deserted roads. As I approached a small plaza, a strange and inexplicable event unfolded, one that would forever be etched in my memory. I had just exited the store and was about to merge onto a short roadway, adjacent to a longer road lined with houses. The intersection had no traffic lights, only a stop sign at the second turn. I pulled up to the intersection, and to my surprise, 3 other cars converged on the same spot, all of us arriving simultaneously. The innermost lane, where I was positioned, allowed for 2 cars to turn at the same time, a common practice in this area. But then, something inexplicable happened. Without any warning or apparent reason, all 4 of us froze. Our cars came to a dead stop, and we just sat there, motionless and silent. We all sat there in our cars for at least a minute, but probably longer. No one honked, no one looked at their phone, and no external factors seemed to be causing this eerie pause. It was as if time itself had come to a standstill. I recall feeling a sense of unease and confusion, my mind racing with questions. What was happening? Why were we all stopped? I turned to glance at the woman in the car beside me, and our eyes met. She was staring straight ahead, her expression blank. I was about to break the silence, but before I could, it was as if we all simultaneously snapped out of this strange trance. I was the first to react, my voice breaking the silence. "What are we doing?" I exclaimed, my words hanging in the air. The woman beside me blinked, and then, as if startled, she accelerated her car and turned onto the longer road. The other cars followed, each of us departing the intersection as if nothing out of the ordinary had occurred. But something had happened. Something inexplicable and unexplainable. It was as if we had all been connected by some unseen force, a force that had brought our cars to a halt and frozen us in time. The incident left me with a lingering sense of unease and wonder. What had just occurred? Was it a glitch in the matrix, a momentary lapse in reality? To this day, I remain puzzled by that bizarre incident on Long Island. It was a night that will forever be etched in my memory, a night that continues to haunt me with its inexplicable mystery.
I'll never forget the morning the city of London fell eerily silent. It was as if a switch had been flipped, and the cacophony of sounds that usually filled the air had been abruptly shut off. I walked down the bustling high street, weaving past pedestrians and market stalls, but the only sound I could hear was the soft thud of my feet on the pavement. The visual chaos was still there, people rushing to and fro, vendors shouting, or so I assumed, and cars honking, or not, but it was all eerily muted. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I walked past a group of construction workers, their mouths moving in animated conversation, but not a sound escaped their lips. The only noise was the creaking of the rusty scaffolding swaying gently in the breeze. I quickened my pace, my heart racing with a sense of unease. What was happening? Was I the only one who noticed? I glanced around, but everyone seemed oblivious to the strange phenomenon. As I turned a corner, I almost collided with a man who was standing still, his eyes fixed on his phone. He answered the call, and his voice cut through the eerie silence like a knife. "It's very quiet here," he said, his words sending a chill down my spine. How did he know? Was he experiencing the same bizarre phenomenon as me? I slowed down, watching as he stood there, his eyes scanning the surroundings as if searching for answers. The silence was almost deafening. I felt as if I was walking through a scene from a post-apocalyptic movie, where the world had been stripped of its noise and chaos. But it wasn't just the absence of sound that was unsettling, it was the feeling that something was off, something was watching us from the shadows. I quickened my pace, my senses on high alert, as I navigated the silent streets. And then, it hit me, it was as if the very fabric of reality had been tweaked, and we were all living in a simulation, a matrix-like world where the rules of reality no longer applied. The thought sent a shiver down my spine. I felt like a character in a Philip K. Dick novel, questioning the nature of reality and my place in it. As I continued walking, the silence began to feel almost peaceful. It was as if the world had been rebooted, and all the noise and chaos had been stripped away, leaving only a sense of calm and tranquility. I slowed down, taking in the scene around me. People were still going about their daily business, but they seemed different. More relaxed, more at ease. It was as if they had been given a collective permission to unplug from the chaos of the world and simply be. I stood there for a moment, taking it all in, wondering if this was the start of something new, something revolutionary. Or was it just a strange anomaly, a blip on the radar of reality? I didn't know, but one thing was certain: I would never forget this strange, silent morning in the heart of London.